The biggest improvement in my life happened after I stopped posting about it. So if you're watching this video, you're probably in one of two places. Either you're starting over and you need to focus, or you probably know what you need to do, but your time and attention, they keep getting pulled elsewhere. I want to talk about ghost mode in a sense. First off, you don't leave just to leave. You don't disappear just to disappear. You leave to grow, you leave to focus, you leave to produce, you leave to build. I went into ghost mode for a year, and in this episode, I'm going to show you what I cut off, what I focused on, and how that year helped me rebuild my work, my body, and my life. There are a lot of reasons why people go ghost mode. Sometimes people have events in their lives that cause them to pull back. It is more effective if you make the decision to go ghost mode versus making life or letting life make the decision for you. So for me, when I went ghost mode, I was pretty much starting over in life. I had a lot of different changes happening, and I just needed focus. I needed purpose. I needed one clear direction, because I knew in starting over with this opportunity I had, it was a rare opportunity. And I was like, what would happen if I just went all in on this opportunity and started to cut things out? So this new role, it really gave me something to pour myself into. And I believe that if I removed what kept pulling at me, there was a lot that was pulling at me, right? A ton. But I'm like, if I could just pull away from those things that were pulling at me, how great could I be? When you think about ghost mode as you approach it, think about areas in your life where you want to rebuild. Ghost mode is going to allow you to focus just specifically on that. And once you know what you're trying to build, you're able to look at what keeps getting in the way. 3 things I cut off during my ghost mode that I'm going to share with you. The first one, very important, very common, social media. It's not that I didn't like getting on there. It's just that there was no intention. It was mindless. I would just open the app with no reason in mind, no intention in mind. And when I stopped getting on the apps, I got my time back. So that's the benefit of cutting social media off. You're going to get your time back. I was saying the other day, I started getting more sleep because as someone who creates and shares, I was always feeling like I was rushing to get it out at a certain time. And by cutting social media off, I just was not even thinking about it anymore. If you are consuming social media, just ask yourself, how often are you on there? Check your time. The second thing I cut off, food. Now, I didn't cut off food all the way. And this is where people get ghost mode twisted, because people think ghost mode, they think it's all about social media, cutting people off. I stopped putting myself near habits that was working against my goals. And I'll give you an example. I love Trader Joe's. All right. I would go to Trader Joe's every Sunday. I would get the chocolate bars. They had the best chocolate bars. And I would get that. And then I would get all this other stuff too. And Trader Joe's, when I cut off the processed foods and started doing whole foods only, I realized Trader Joe's is just a bunch of fancy processed foods. I love Trader Joe's though. Shout out to Trader Joe's. I haven't been to Trader Joe's in over a year. When you start to, again, put yourself near habits that are in alignment with your goals. If I want to get in shape, for instance, and I want to be a more fit person, and I don't want to eat processed foods anymore, I have to start going to places where that's going to be a temptation. And that's what a Trader Joe's ends up becoming. When you start to reshape your routines and you start cutting off bad habits, right? I think it's more about reshaping. It's reshaping a bad habit and turning it into a positive routine that will build momentum for you. The benefit is you don't have to fight the same temptation every day, because now you've turned it into this nice routine. The third thing that I cut off, and this is going to be big, draining energy. This was huge because one of the reasons I went into ghost mode is because there were just so many things that were pulling and draining my energy. When you talk about people that drain your energy, there's this story in the 48 Laws of Power about this lady named Lola Montez. I always talk about Lola Montez because she is someone who would attract bad luck. And everybody that messed with her, did dealings with her, business with her, relationships with her, they always suffer some sort of consequence because she was just always in a negative, attracting negative things. She was always unlucky, unhappy. Think about the people that you know in your life that maybe drain you a bit. And I'm not saying you have to cut them off, but someone close to me said that you could love those types of people from a distance. also, it's not necessarily the people in your life, it's the content that you consume too, right? We always talk about the news being negative. There's a lot of negative news. Like, you want to certainly cut that type of stuff off. And anything that would leave you feeling like doubtful or negative or just out of alignment, you want to reduce the noise. You want to reduce the scatterbrain, because everything's all over the place. So you start removing the draining energy, whether it's the people or the articles, the content, the movie clips. I was on line recently and I saw this movie clip. It stuck with me for days. I was like, I didn't want to see that, right? So you may have to delete apps from your phone. That's always a good thing. The main point is, don't cut things off just to prove you can cut things off. That's not what ghost mode is about. You cut them off because they keep taken away from the person that you're looking to become, the person that you're looking to build. You're in ghost mode. You're going to remove the distractions. The next question is, what are you going to do with the time that you're going to get back? Because you're going to start seeing you're getting all this time back. Here's what I did with the time. Very first thing I did, I protected my mornings. I started to plan like what worked in short, focused blocks when I needed. And the best thing that worked for me was training my body. So the mornings became like a sacred time for me, because I remember I would sleep until the last minute and get ready and go to work. And I left no time for myself. And I would remember going to work and people would seek me out for my positive energy and I would give it to them. But by like midday, I was drained. And it's because I never gave myself time for myself. I didn't give myself time to pour into myself in the morning. It's the first thing that you should do. So the mornings became a place where I could train, where I could learn, where I could think, right? Where I could visualize, I could prepare before the day started pulling in. So by the time I started seeing people, I was already at my optimal self. When you think about how you can approach this, the time that you get back for yourself, it can become real progress when you decide ahead of time how to use it. So use those mornings to cultivate the whole day. That's how, if you can control your morning, you'll control your whole day. Let's talk about how to use ghost mode to your advantage, because again, ghost mode should lead to some sort of skill, some sort of project. Something better needs to come out of it. When you go away and you come back, there needs to be something that you can point to that's undeniable and you can talk about, right? So for me, I was locked in on learning this new role and getting sharper in communication skills, getting sharper in my presentation skills, getting sharper in AI, right? Getting certified and really just becoming a master of presentation. I joined several groups. So I obviously got my body together, but I wanted to use all these things to come back and build this podcast season with people talk about AI and how you could use it. Start building projects using AI, right? Like I've got a whole use case for this project here with that. So use ghost mode to build a skill. Pick one skill or project that can improve your work, your income, your family life, your confidence, or your ability to create. Pick something so when you come back, whether it's a month from now, 90 days from now, 6 months, a year from now, you can point back and be like, that's that thing. So that was just like one part of the rebuild. My body became the other part. So one of the most significant things that I did in ghost mode was build my body. And I've done this before. I was fit in my 20s and then I was fit again in my 30s. And my 40s, this is probably the most challenging because as I get older, the food got a little more better and just a little more seasoning. And kids, I talked about kids snacks in past videos, past podcasts. So I kind of fell out of alignment with like just having a solid routine. So the gym was a big thing that I got into in ghost mode. Here's one of the biggest things I learned during ghost mode, but I would eat because the food was good. And I'm not necessarily a foodie or nothing, but if the food's good, I'm going to eat it. But as I got into ghost mode, as I started building my body, I started eating to fuel my workouts. And that was a big shift for me. That's when things started to really like connect, right? So you really want to have a mindset about how to take advantage of ghost mode. Make sure that you're starting to look at what you're putting into your body. Like pay attention to what you're paying attention to when it comes to what you put in your body, right? So for me, I just kept showing up. I changed how I ate and I built my body over time. That is how I use ghost mode to build my body. Simply put, for you, the benefit for you doing some sort of training in the morning is that it's just going to give you structure to your day or whatever time you go away. I recommend mornings, but find some sort of time where you can go and build your body. It's going to improve your energy. It's going to give you proof that you can keep a promise to yourself, right? When you come back around months later, a year later, whatever, looking different, you're going to feel different too. The feelings is going to be automatic. It's just proof. It's deeper than aesthetics. It's all about how you flow. When you walk into a room fit, it just screams discipline. People see that and they're like, yeah, that's that guy. I want to know more about that person. So as you start doing this, as you start getting your body together, as you start building, as you start mastering your time, the noise is going to quiet down, right? You're going to start to get more focused. But one of these things that I had to deal with during ghost mode, and you may have to deal with, is the internal thoughts. And that's the toughest part. And one of the reasons why I got away from scrolling is because it's easy to go and scroll as an escape. There's so many different stories I could plug into, I could tap into, whether it's current events or even just things from the past. I really did a good job of deleting apps, right? Because I didn't get the opportunity to sit with my real thoughts. If I'm looking at, like, people send me posts and stuff on Instagram and it's like, I appreciate the posts, but I don't always want to read them or see them because I'm doing my best to like not be on Instagram like that, not be looking at everybody's posts like that, right? Because I need time to like sit with my thoughts and form my own opinions, come to my own, conclusions. So I'm gonna give you a vibe right here. Like when I was online and I was posting every day, it got tiring because I just didn't want to really do it like that. And I had set myself up to where I was showing up every single day, posting every single day. And I did it. The first year I did it for like 50 weeks straight. And it was fun. And then it wasn't. All of a sudden I was like, yo, I really don't care to do this anymore. And what I did was I kind of would show up and hide behind like quotes in different speeches, pieces of speeches that I've read, because, I know how to speak very well. So it's easy for me to show up and read a quote. And going into ghost mode really pushed me to focus on how to reconnect with my voice and who I really am. That way it's easier for me to come back and talk to you like how I would be talking to you if we were, face to face, versus talking to you like I'm reading a speech, right? Alfred Tennyson said that I will lose myself in activity lest I wither in despair. It's easy for me to hide behind that, James Earl Jones style delivery. I don't want to say hide, but it's easy for me to come out with something like that. People are going to like that. They're going to like hearing somebody that sounds like the Allstate guy reading quotes, right? It's easy for me to do that. So going into ghost mode, in all seriousness, allowed me to just kind of kick back and really reconnect with my voice. I'm thinking about when you go into facing like those quiet moments and you sit with yourself, you really get a chance to, sit with your shadow self. There's a gentleman named Carl Jung. I actually have one of his books. It's called The Undiscovered Self. I'm not going to get too deep into it now, but he talks about shadow work, doing shadow work, sitting with your shadow self, facing your excuses, facing your fears, facing the habits that pull you back. That's pretty much what that's all about. And that's one of the biggest things to face during ghost mode, because there are reasons why you took a step back and you want to confront those. So when you do come back, it's no thing, right? What they call it, water off a duck's back. I don't know if people still say that, but that's what it is. But the point of facing yourself is not to necessarily come out more aware. It's to come out different. You're going to be aware during the shadow work, trust. But ghost mode should leave something behind that wasn't there before. Again, you're coming back with evidence. Like for me, I came back stronger at work. I got several certifications. I changed my body. I mastered my mornings. And I got a full season of ideas built from what I lived versus, I could come out and do a podcast on a book or whatever, and it would do well. But again, it's not me. And I wanted to come back different. I wanted to come back and be, be a guy with y'all. So, as we kind of land the plane on this, the art of being freed, I hope you're liking what you're hearing so far. Like this. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on the podcast, leave a 5-star review. The goal isn't to look mysterious. The goal is really to become proof that your time away, it meant something. It was, meaningful, was valuable. People are going to look at you and they're going to be inspired immediately. People that know you. It might get to a point where people are going to look at you. At first, they're going to look at you and be inspired. And then they're going to look at you and they're going to be like, what? This isn't supposed to be happening with that person, right? So just take time to become the proof that your time away meant something. Be the living example. Be the example, right? Let the change speak before you have to explain it. So when you come back, it's just automatic, right? I always say, all that he was that he didn't have to say, okay? So ghost mode for me, it was really a season of focus. It wasn't about disappearing and cutting people off. It was about just stepping back, finding purpose, removing what fights the purpose, removing what got me out of alignment, and really just building. So I would encourage you to choose the one thing that you're building. What's one thing that you're really focused on or have wanted to focus on? 3 things that you need to cut back on, okay? And one part of the day that you'll protect, whether it's the morning, the afternoon, night, whatever. But you need to find one part of the day, one part, at least 2 hours that you can protect, that's yours, that's sacred. Nobody interrupts it, is yours. Because that's your true building time. So my first protected space was the morning. Episode 2 is going to dive into how you can become a morning person, thus mastering your day. Until then, this is your guy Freed with the Art of Being Freed. I appreciate y'all coming through and rocking with your boy. I'll see you soon. Hey.